Heartwarming discovery. Millionaire exposed to life-changing truth he had a son all along. The holiday lights twinkled brightly against the winter sky as Jack Thompson, a self-made millionaire, leaned against his fireplace. From the outside, his life resembled a picturesque postcard, a sprawling mansion adorned with wreaths, a perfectly trimmed tree sparkling with ornaments, and laughter echoing through the halls. But inside, the warmth of the season only amplified the chill of his loneliness. Wealth may have painted his life golden, but inside, he wrestled with a darkness, a longing for connection reflected in the empty chairs around his dining table. On a frosty morning, Jack rifled through his late mother's belongings in the attic, surrounded by a haze of nostalgia. As he sifted through old photos and trinkets, a yellowed envelope slipped from a small box. Curiosity pulled him in, and as he tore it open, his heart raced. The letter described a hidden truth: a son, Tommy, raised in a struggling single-parent home across town. With each word, Jack's world shifted violently beneath him. Guilt flooded his heart like a tidal wave, leaving him grappling with the shards of a life unlived and the connections he never forged. Tommy, a determined young athlete with dreams of football glory, faced daily challenges in a world that constantly reminded him of his socioeconomic struggles. Jack pictured the boy, full of promise yet deceived by circumstance, trying to find his way without support. Longing gnawed at him, and against the backdrop of festive cheer, despair seeped deeper into his soul. He couldn't turn back time, yet he felt an undeniable pull to reach out. As the holidays approached, Jack's resolve hardened. He decided to contact Tommy, hoping to bridge the gap and offer a chance for redemption. But the first attempt was awkward, and uncomfortable social prejudice, and his own hesitations stumbled over one another, leaving Tommy confused, uncertain of this stranger claiming to be his father. The fear of rejection weighed heavily. Then came the charity drive at the local community center. Jack arrived with high hopes, only to find himself in the same room as Tommy. The irony sliced through him. Here he was, the millionaire, donating due to tax breaks, while Tommy ladled food for the less fortunate, his friends sharing laughter amidst the clattering of plates. As Jack stood there, he could almost feel the weight of societal judgment looming over him. In that moment, something shifted. The air throbbed with honesty, as Jack stood across from Tommy, both battling their own demons, the boy seeing a man who lived a life of privilege, the man seeing a boy shaped by struggle. Each seemed so far apart, yet so close in that charged moment filled with unspoken words and glances. Just then someone raised their voice, caught in a bitter confrontation about Jack's bailouts and Tommy's struggles. Jack could feel his heart racing, the tension rising. Tommy looked torn between anger and a longing for acceptance, echoing Jack's own fears of not being enough. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the exchange unfolded, Jack faced a monumental choice: cling to his luxurious lifestyle, wrapped in comfort and isolation, or open the door to uncertainty, stepping into a raw relationship filled with vulnerability and, maybe, redemption. The fleeting warmth of hope flickered between them, leaving both longing for acceptance. Could they redefine what family meant, despite their vastly different worlds? As the season drew to a close, the answer hung in the air like the promise of snow, an uncertain whisper that echoed through their lives, waiting for their next moves. Jack's heart raced as the confrontation swirled around him. Voices grew louder, dividing the room into two camps: those who judged him and those who rallied around Tommy. Each shout repeated the same refrain: privilege, hardship. It was a cacophony of resentment, judgment, and harsh truths that pushed Jack closer to the edge of an emotional cliff. Tommy's eyes flickered with anger, the fight in his stance pulling at Jack's core. Yet, beneath that frustration was something softer, a longing to be understood. Jack took a deep breath, forcing himself to focus on the boy standing in front of him, their unspoken connection more tangible than any words could convey. In that moment, Jack felt like he was hosting a battle within himself. He could turn and retreat to his life of isolation, or he could take a step forward into an uncertain, uncharted territory. With shaky resolve, he stepped toward Tommy, blocking out the harsh words that filled the room. "Tommy," he said, using the boy's name like a bridge built from his heart. "Can we talk?" The words fell heavily, but he meant them with every fiber of his being. The room slowed down, the arguing voices fading as Tommy looked him straight in the eyes. It was as if time paused, offering a sacred moment just for them. But Tommy hesitated, his expression shifting from anger to confusion. "Why should I listen to you?" His voice wavered but held a weight that struck deep. "Because," Jack replied, lowering his voice so only Tommy could hear, "I want to be part of your life. I want to understand you, to be there for you." There was a sincerity in his words, a desperate plea that hung between them. Tommy's eyes narrowed, a mix of skepticism and hope danced behind them. "You think you can just walk in and play father?" Jack took a step closer, desperate for connection. "I know I can't erase the past, Tommy, but I want to learn. I want to be someone you can rely on." The honesty trembled in the air, establishing a flicker of something, just the tiniest ember of possibility. The surrounding crowd dissipated, sensing the intimate exchange. Murmurs of wonder peppered the tension. Jack could feel their eyes on them, some curious, others judging. But for him, only Tommy mattered at that moment. Their worlds had collided in a way he never expected, mocking his wealth, yet revealing an undeniable humanity. After an agonizing silence, Tommy stood still, torn between a familiar anger and an emerging longing for connection. Jack noticed a flicker of vulnerability, a hint of the boy's dreams peeking through the anger like a timid star through clouds. "All right," Tommy finally said, his voice steady but weak, "we can talk." Relief washed over Jack, but with it came fear. What if they couldn't bridge the gap after all? What if he failed as the father he had never been? The questions buzzed in his mind like angry bees. As they moved to the side, the moment felt monumental. Jack felt the cool air wrap around them like a protective barrier, sheltering this fragile beginning. They stood on the edge of defining their relationship, both aware that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges. Just then, a dog barked loudly from the nearby playground, yanking them momentarily from their intense gaze. Tommy's lips curled into a quick, surprised smile, genuine and infectious. Jack didn't expect that smile to strike him so deeply. It felt like a chapter turning, a light breaking through the darkness. With every heartbeat, the promise of connection expanded. But just as hope began to rise, a loud voice interrupted from the group. "What is he doing with you, Tommy? Don't let him play you." Jack's heart sank again. Doubts and fears clawed at him, reminding him of the climbing walls they had yet to surmount. The outside world wanted to label their relationship, to box them into categories they couldn't escape. In that charged moment, as Tommy's smile faded, Jack felt the enormity of this beginning. Would they truly connect? Or would societal pressures pull them apart before they could forge a bond? So many questions lingered, but Jack held on to the hope that flickered in the boy's eyes. Today was just the first breath, the quiet beginning of a new chapter, and the uncertainty loomed like a dark cloud in the distance. Would they become a family? Or would their paths remain forever separated? The weight of the moment pressed down on Jack and Tommy as the loud voice faded into an anxious whispering. The piercing judgment from the crowd wrapped around them tighter than any embrace could. Jack's heart raced, his palms dampening as he searched for the right words that wouldn't sound rehearsed or hollow. Tommy's expression hardened, the glimmer of a smile dying away like the last flickers of daylight. "You think just because you've got money, you can step into my life? You don't know me." Tommy's voice shook slightly, torn between anger and hurt. "No, I don't," Jack breathed, feeling the hot rush of emotion tighten his throat. "But I want to know you. I want to be here for you." He felt like a stranger in his own skin, but he refused to back down. This was pivotal. The tension crackled in the air, surrounding them both. People continued to murmur, some casting judgmental glances, while others leaned in curiosity. But Jack couldn't focus on anyone but Tommy. "What do you know about me?" Tommy shot back, crossing his arms, walls erecting even higher than before. "What do you really know about hardship? What do you know about being alone?" Jack's heart ached at each word. He had grown up with privilege, yes, but he had also battled his demons, especially since his own father had walked out when he was young. I know what it feels like to feel lost, Jack responded, the honesty spilling out. I never had a father either. The truth felt raw, almost unsteady on his tongue, but it was more than just an emotional release. It was a bridge, a connection he hoped would reach beyond the divide. Tommy's eyes flickered with something unrecognizable. Anger, fear, maybe even a hint of interest? Jack held that flicker like a candle flame, letting it guide him. Look, I can't change who I am, but I promise to try and understand who you are if you'll let me in. The crowd swayed uncertainly, a collective breath held as they watched the interaction unfold. Jack could sense their anticipation but focused on Tommy, noticing how the tension in his body began to ease, even if just a fraction. Why now though? Tommy pressed, his voice quieter yet edged with challenge. Why do you care? You could have lived your life without even knowing I exist. Because Jack started, the weight of the world seeming to press down on his shoulders. I didn't know. But now that I do, it changes everything. The room felt stilled once more, time stretching in a way that allowed both of them to soak in the weight of that honesty. Jack was unmasking himself, revealing his vulnerability. All of it was terrifying, but it was also freeing. Tommy's gaze softened slightly, peeling back layers of hurt. You really mean that? Yes, Jack said firmly, and I'm scared too. Scared I might mess this up. The moment felt significant, yet fragile. Jackie watched as Tommy hesitated, his defenses slowly loosening, making room for an idea of trust that delicately danced on the edge of possibility. Suddenly, a child ran past, giggling and knocking a blanket of tension away. Tommy looked over, a flicker of amusement lighting his face before he caught himself, forcing the seriousness back. This is just going to be some superficial patch-up. You won't really understand. But what if this is how we begin understanding each other? Jack shot back, filled with newfound urgency. What if we actually try? For the first time, Tommy's eyes showed more than just skepticism. Doubts were swirling, but something softer was nesting within them. You think it can be that simple? Maybe not simple, Jack admitted, determination rising. But worth fighting for. The air thickened with expectation. And for the first time, it seemed that a crack had begun to form in Tommy's hard exterior. This will take time. I'm in it for the long haul, Jack replied, adrenaline pushing him forward, a flicker of hope warming his chest. Then he added softly, just please don't push me away. As the uncertain silence lingered, this moment of fragile beginning felt like a step toward rebuilding broken bridges. Between fear of rejection and the aching possibility of friendship, both boys stood at a precipice. But before he could respond, the crowd erupted with shouts of disbelief, reminding them of the outside pressures that threatened to suffocate them. Just as quickly as the moment felt serene, it spiraled back into chaos. Would Jack and Tommy find a resolution that turned their fragile connection into something real? Or were they simply caught in a fleeting moment of hope amid the storm of judgment surrounding them? Jack felt a rush of confusion as the crowd's noise engulfed them. Shouts bounced against the walls, detaching him from their delicate moment. He glanced at Tommy, whose face was a mixture of disbelief and frustration. As the chaos swirled around them, Jack tightened his grip on hope, praying it wouldn't slip away. Let us get out of here. Tommy yelled over the din, his pulse racing. It was clear he wanted to escape the suffocating glares and whispers. Jack nodded, understanding the urgency in Tommy's eyes. They sidestepped through the crowd, which seemed to part reluctantly, their eyes still glued to the scene unfolding. Once they were out on the street, the cool air hit Jack's face. It was a relief, a sharp contrast to the tension that had built up inside. But there was an electric quality in the atmosphere between them now, a shared adrenaline that neither dared to acknowledge yet. Where are we going? Jack asked, trying to keep his voice steady. I don't know. Just somewhere we can talk, Tommy said, brushing a hand through his hair, his frustration ebbing. Jack watched him, noting how the fight in Tommy's eyes flickered down to a deep exhaustion. Okay, Jack replied. His mind raced as he struggled to push through the fear of losing this connection they were beginning to forge. You can take me wherever. I'm here. They found themselves in a nearby park, secluded from prying eyes. Someone had left their afternoon picnic behind the remnants of a half-eaten sandwich and soda cans scattered like forgotten hopes. Tommy sat on a bench, while Jack paced, trying to absorb everything that had just happened. "Tommy," Jack started. "Don't," just Tommy interrupted, putting his head in his hands. "You think I don't want this? But it's so complicated. I can't just trust you because you stand there saying the right things." "I get that," Jack said, desperately searching for the right words. "But I want to understand your complications. I want to be part of your life, however messy it may be." Tommy looked up, his eyes shimmering. "Life isn't just messy, Jack. It's painful. It's like an anchor pulling you down. You think you can just jump in and swim?" "I'm willing to drown trying," Jack said, his chest tightening with the weight of his own truth. "If that's what it takes." A moment stretched between them, heavy with unsaid emotions. Jack could almost see the wheels turning in Tommy's mind. The conflict between wanting to keep Jack at bay, and the undeniable flicker of hope igniting in him. "You don't even know me," Tommy finally whispered, anguish spilling over. "You've seen bits and pieces. Don't you get it? You can't fix someone like me." "I'm not trying to fix you." Jack stopped pacing, turning so Tommy could see unwavering sincerity in his eyes. "I just want to be there while you figure it out. That's all." Tommy's shoulders loosened slightly, a flicker of vulnerability creeping into his fierce facade. But just as he opened his mouth, a loud crash shrieked through the air. They both turned sharply to see a man a few yards away, yelling at someone who was trying to break into a parked car. "See," Tommy breathed, his voice trembling. "This is real. This is life. And you think I can just let you wade into this? Let me choose," Jack pleaded, heart pounding. "Let me show you I can handle it. You know all those demons you're fighting? I've got a few of my own. We can face them together." Tommy paused, swallowed hard, and searched Jack's face for answers. But just then the commotion escalated, more people rushing over, and the moment shattered. Tommy backed away, the fear of exposure flooding back into his eyes. "Stop. Just stop," Tommy shouted, frantic. "You don't see it, do you? You think this is all about choice? You're either in or out. You're not really prepared for what I live with every single day." Jack's heart sank. "You're wrong, Tommy. I want to be in. But you have to let me." As he stepped forward, determination shining through his fear, Tommy turned abruptly and dashed away, blending into the gathering throng. Jack stood there, breathless, torn between chasing after him and feeling the weight of defeat settle. Was this truly the end of a moment that held such promise, or just the prelude to something more? In the whirlwind of uncertainty, Jack couldn't help but wonder if he would have the chance to prove his worth, or if he'd already lost Tommy forever. The thought gnawed at him as he took a step forward, uncertain of what the next moment would hold. Jack stood, frozen, shockwaves radiating from the spot where Tommy had just been. Feet planted on the ground, he felt like a statue, each breath heavy with the weight of possibility and loss. The lively chatter of the park faded around him, a blur of noise that couldn't penetrate the fog of his thoughts. Where had Tommy gone? Did he really just abandon everything they'd started to build? He took a deep breath, tasting the cool air that felt so refreshing, yet hollow without Tommy's laughter to accompany it. Glancing around, he spotted an empty bench nearby, and slowly made his way over, feeling the need for a moment of stillness as he tried to gather his spiraling thoughts. The park was unusually quiet now, the chaos that had erupted moments earlier settling into an eerie calm. Jack closed his eyes, shutting out the world, focusing instead on what Tommy's words meant. "You're either in or out." Maybe Tommy was right. The stakes were high, but Jack felt the fire within him, the certainty that this connection, as fragile as it felt, was worth fighting for. He'd experienced that anchoring weight Tommy spoke of, in different forms. The suffocating pressure of expectations. The loneliness that seeped into every corner of his life. Just wanting to belong, to have someone see him fully. "Tommy," Jack whispered, his heart aching with a fierce longing. He had to find him. Think. Where would Tommy go? With newfound determination, he pushed himself off the bench and began to walk through the park, scanning the familiar paths and trees. The edges of his hope sharpened, each step fueled by the belief that maybe, just maybe, he could reach Tommy before it was too late. As he rounded a corner, he spotted a figure slumped on a swing, silhouetted against the setting sun. Jack's heart raced. It was Tommy. Greasy hair fell into Tommy's face, obscuring his features as he stared at the ground, lost in thought. Jack approached cautiously, adrenaline surging even more. "Tommy," he called softly, unsure of how the other boy would respond. But within him, a river of yearning surged. "Please, can we talk?" Tommy flinched slightly, a shadow of defeat passing over his face. He finally lifted his gaze, revealing eyes that looked as if they'd fought 1,000 battles, and didn't he know how to win even one? Jack's heart ached at the sight. "Why did you run?" Jack asked, stepping closer, feeling the familiar electric tension crackling in the air between them. "I don't know, Jack," Tommy exclaimed, burying his face in his hands again. "I don't know if I can do this. I want you to understand, but I can't let you in." Not when what?" Jack interrupted, his voice rising in urgency. "Not when it gets hard. You think just running away will solve anything? I'm here. I chose to be here, even when it was messy. You don't have to face it alone." As he spoke, he could see Tommy's walls wavering, uncertain. "You don't understand," Tommy finally replied, his voice trembling. "There are things about my life, things you don't know. I can't have you getting hurt because of me. What could hurt me more than losing you?" Jack shot back, desperation flooding his words. "Show me what it means to truly be in, and I promise you I won't back down." Tommy's expression softened, eyes shimmering with tears that hadn't yet fallen. Jack could sense the fragile thread connecting them, teetering on the edge of breaking or binding them in more profound ways. But just as Tommy opened his mouth, a phone rang sharply, shattering the moment. Tommy's gaze flickered to his pocket, uncertainty flickering across his features. Just give me a second," Tommy muttered, pulling out his phone. Jack instantly felt the panic rise within him. Was Tommy really going to answer? Jack stood there, heart racing, as he wrestled with the realization that this moment could change everything or doom them both to a silence that felt insurmountable. He took a step back, holding his breath, unsure if this was the moment that would make or break them. As Tommy hesitated, the weight of the moment thickened. What if he picked up? What if it meant more distance? And before Jack could brace himself, Tommy hit accept on the call, looking up at Jack with a mix of dread and hope. Jack's heart sank and soared, the possibilities ahead fluttering wildly, but the harsh truth was, he had no idea who was on the other end, and whether it would change everything they had barely begun to build. Tommy's voice was hushed as he answered the call. "Hello?" Jack felt like a pinball, bouncing between anxiety and hope as the muted voice on the other end filled the space where their conversation had just been. He tried to decipher Tommy's expression, but the boy's face was a mask, revealing nothing of what he was feeling. "Yeah, I'm here," Tommy mumbled, fidgeting with the phone as if it were a hot potato. Jack could barely breathe. "Tommy, who is it?" he finally asked, urgency tinging his tone. The last few moments had felt like they stretched into infinity, that fragile bond they had been nurturing threatening to snap. "Just as someone from my past," Tommy replied, his gaze flickering away, as if the words were painful. Jack's heart tumbled. A shadow seemed to settle between them, dense and heavy. The conversation continued on the other end, and Jack strained to catch snippets. "I can't know. I want to go back there." Anxiety poured out from Tommy, each word like a brick weighing him down. "You don't understand." Jack's stomach tightened. Was this someone who could pull Tommy back into a life he was trying to escape? Jack stepped forward, desperate. "Tommy, focus. You're not alone. Please." Tommy raised a hand, his eyes darting up and down, the phone pressed tightly against his ear. "Just give me a moment," he said, almost pleadingly. Jack swallowed, feeling more like a spectator than a participant. He could see his own panic reflected in Tommy's anxious features, but that barely scratched the surface of what was happening between them. "I don't want to go back to who I was," Tommy finally said, voice trembling. I thought I was free. I don't want that life anymore." Jack took a deep breath. "Then fight it. Fight to stay here with me." Tommy's eyes flickered back to Jack as if catching fire, the whisper of hope igniting. Jack stood his ground, ready to ensure that Tommy stayed anchored to the moment they were carving out together. "Please just hold on," Tommy urged bitterly into the phone. Jack could see his grip on the device tightening, knuckles going white. I can't wait forever, Tommy. A voice screamed sharply from the speaker. The call had shifted from a personal conversation into a battlefield. Jack felt every word rattle through him, the tension sticking cold in the air between them. Tommy's face contorted in conflict, torn between the call and the boy standing before him, pouring his heart into the space between them. I know you might think that, but I can't go back. I want to. The ringing of the call tattooed in Jack's ears. Each second felt like an eternity as he watched this struggle unfold. What if Tommy chose the past over their future? What if this was the moment he slipped away completely? Then, just as Tommy's shoulders slumped, surrendering to the weight of anxiety, he abruptly snapped. I have to go. I can't talk to you anymore. His voice had risen in desperation, and finally, Tommy ended the call with a finality that echoed through the park. Silently he stared at his phone, disbelief washing over his features. The silence that followed was deafening, wrapping around them like fog. What just happened? Jack whispered, his voice shaking. Are you okay? Tommy's breath caught, emotions spilling over from the edges of his control. I have to deal with them. But he looked up, eyes glazed, revealing layers of pain that told stories Jack could only imagine. But what if they try to pull me back? Jack took a step closer. Then we fight back together. Tommy's glance sparked, the fear intermingling with the slightest flicker of resolve. Can we really do that? Jack could feel the heartbeat between them synchronizing, hope flickering like a candle in the wind. Let us find out. Together. But just then, from the depths of Tommy's pocket, another call buzzed to life. Jack's heart thudded with a newfound weight. What if that s them again? Tommy's expression shifted from confusion to dread, uncertainty clouding his eyes as he contemplated picking up once more. Jack tightened his grip on Tommy's arm, grounding them both. Don't answer. Not yet. We have to decide what we really want together. As the phone continued to ring, a question hung in the air, unanswered and heavy. What would they choose, and what storm awaited once they did? Tommy stood frozen, the incessant buzz of the phone punctuating the thick tension that surrounded them. He was caught between the monster of his past and the uncertainty of his future. Each vibration felt like a pulse, echoing the uncertainty in his chest. Tommy, breathe, Jack urged, his grip firm but gentle. You have to decide right now. What do you want? The question lay heavy, twisting the air between them. Tommy's eyes darted from the phone to Jack's face, searching for answers. What if it's them again? His voice trembled, uncertainty cracking the surface of his resolve. Then you let it go. You don't have to pick up. Not if it pulls you back. You fought too hard to just give in. Jack's heart raced, sensing the weight of the moment pressing down on both of them. Each second stretched thin, a fragile thread holding their shared fears and hopes. Taking a deep breath, Tommy closed his eyes briefly. I thought I'd left them behind. But they don't just disappear. It's like they're always just one call away. They can't have power over you unless you let them, Jack replied, his voice steady yet filled with urgency. Look at me. You're not that person anymore. You're with me now. Tommy's hand shook as he watched the screen flash, a barrage of missed notifications popping up. He was being drawn back into a world he wanted to escape. I don't want to go back there, Jack. I'm scared. Jack felt the weight of those words settle like stones in his stomach. We're stronger than our pasts, Tommy. We can stand together. You don't have to face this alone. With a shuddering breath, Tommy met Jack's gaze. An ember flickered in his eyes, a mixture of fear and courage. Okay. But if I answer? It's just a conversation. You put them on your terms this time. You have a choice. Tommy nodded, and in that moment, something shifted inside him. The fear was still there, coiling tightly in his chest, but now it was met with resolve. He exhaled deeply, slowly lifting the phone. The moment felt electric as he swiped the screen, opening the live connection. Hello. Tommy's voice was steadier than before, but Jack could see the tension in his shoulders. Tommy, don't ignore me. The voice speared through the air, harsh and demanding. But there was something different. It was met with silence. This time, Tommy stood firm. I'm not ignoring you, he replied, tone laced with newfound strength. But I'm not going back. I choose my life now, my future. Jack felt a rush of pride blossom in his chest. Yet the reality of the situation pressed heavily on them. The voice on the other end sputtered like a dying engine, frustration leaking through. You think you can just walk away? You owe me. No, I don't. Tommy shot back, shaking now with anger instead of fear. You don't own me. I deserve to live without this weight. Jack could hear the shift in Tommy's voice, the defiance echoing in his words. In that choice, he found a spark of hope even if the call ended badly. He was reclaiming his life. But as Tommy hung up, the resolve on his face flickered. The phone now lay silent, but the fear remained etched on his features. What if they don't let me go? Jack stepped closer, a shield against that fear. They can try, but you will choose to fight. And I'm here. We're in this together. Just then, a figure appeared at the edge of the park, eyes locked on Tommy. It was someone familiar, a ghost from Tommy's past that could change everything. Tommy's breath caught as he recognized the tall silhouette edging closer. Oh no, Jack, who is that? As the figure advanced, the tension throbbed again, the air thickening with the promise of confrontation. What would happen when the past stepped back into the light? Tommy and Jack exchanged glances, knowing this moment could shake the foundation of everything they had just built. Tommy's heart raced, pounding like thunder in his chest. The person approaching was unmistakably Jake, an old friend turned rival, the last person he ever expected to see here, now, in this moment of vulnerability. Tommy. Jake's voice rang out, undeniably smug. Look what the wind blew in. Thought you could just forget people, huh? Tommy clenched his fists, feeling anger surge, conflicting with the fragile calm Jack had helped him build. What do you want? He snapped, unable to keep the tremor out of his voice. Come now, don't be like that. We're all friends here, right? Jake shot a grin that didn't touch his eyes. It was a rehearsed smile, from someone who thrived on manipulation. I just thought I'd check on you. Heard you've been doing well. Jack stepped protectively in front of Tommy, arms crossed, a wall of defiance. What's your angle, Jake? This isn't a playground anymore. Easy, Jack. I'm just here to talk. Jake gestured dismissively. Tommy and I have history. But Tommy had no desire to dive back into that history. The only thing that mattered was the present and the trust he'd built with Jack. I'm done with history, Jake, Tommy said, his voice low and measured. I'm not going back. Oh, but you don't really have a choice, Jake replied, a dangerous glint in his eyes. You see, the past has a funny way of coming back around. And yours is standing right in front of you. The words sank in like stones. Visions flashed through Tommy's mind, arguments over money, betrayal, the shadows of doubt that plagued him like dark clouds. You don't get it. I'm not that person anymore. Jake took a step closer, eyes narrowing. Then why are you so scared? Because you know I can expose it all. The truth about your past, it could ruin everything you've built with Jack. Jack's expression became taut, sensing the stakes rising. You won't threaten him. Not anymore. What do you want, Jake? A pause hung between them, breath stilled. Jake chuckled softly, relishing the moment. I want to talk. Real talk. This could be beneficial for all of us. Or, it could be a disaster. Tommy glanced at Jack, seeking reassurance in those familiar eyes. Jack's grip tightened, but he didn't look away. I can't let you do this, Jake, Tommy spoke firmly, grounding himself with the clarity he'd only just found. I've moved on. I'm happy. Happiness? That's cute. Jake scoffed, but his bravado was starting to crack, giving way to an underlying concern. But let us see how long that lasts when your past comes knocking. With every word, Tommy felt the walls around him begin to close. You're not my past. You're a reminder that I was once afraid. And not anymore. You're making a mistake, Jake warned, his tone shifting, revealing a glimpse of vulnerability. You think you can just cut people out? You're not strong enough to face this alone, Tommy. Suddenly, Jack moved, positioning himself between Tommy and the growing tension in the air. Yes, not alone. And if you think for 1 second you can intimidate him, you're wrong. Tommy felt the warmth of Jack's support, an anchor in this storm. You don't know what I've fought to become, Tommy said, his voice stronger. You want to define who I am. A flicker passed over Jake's face. Was that uncertainty? Tommy wasn't sure. But for the first time, he felt the grip of power shifting from Jake to himself. As Jake opened his mouth, Ready for a verbal attack, he faltered. You have no idea the lengths I'll go to. Tommy took a step forward, his heart thundering. Try me. But know this. You can't control me any longer. With that, Jake's defenses crumbled. He stepped back, eyes clouded with a mix of surprise and something else, perhaps respect? But behind them, Tommy felt something shifting within. The echoes of his past trying and failing to reassert themselves. He exchanged a look with Jack, realizing this confrontation was only the beginning. Just then, the ground beneath them trembled, a distant rumble rolling like thunder through the park. The shadows of their past may be shifting, but the future was calling louder than ever. What awaited them beyond this moment of confrontation? Would past demons come back to haunt them, or could they finally break free? Jake's hesitant step back surprised Tommy more than anything. The ever-confident rival, now unsteady. As the thunderous rumble of the ground faded to silence, a new sound filled the air, an unsteady, almost frantic heartbeat. Was it Jack's? Tommy couldn't tell. It pulsed in time with his own, a mingling of tension and resolve. Let us clear this air, Jake said, collecting himself. He straightened his back, trying to reclaim the upper hand. You really think you can just move on? With this perfect little life you've built with your new boyfriend? Jack's jaw clenched at Jake's words, but Tommy held on to that warmth of support. He felt more grounded than he had in years. This isn't about you, Jake. Tommy spoke with an edge, feeling the weight of years transform into strength. You don't get to dictate who I am. Is that so? Jake's eyes narrowed. For a moment, he looked almost defeated, shadows of doubt still flashing across his expression. But then a smirk crept back onto his face, a familiar, unsettling grin. I've seen how easily all of this could fall apart. He gestured around, the vibrant park teeming with laughter and life, families enjoying sunny moments. Do you think they know about you? About what you used to be? Look at you, standing there all righteous. But you can't outrun your past, Tommy. It's written in stone. Enough. Jack shouted, stepping even closer to Jake, his protective stance unwavering. You don't know a thing about him. You think you can shield him forever? Jake shot back, voice dripping with disdain. Life has a way of pulling back the curtains. What will you do then? Tommy's heart raced faster as the reality of Jake's words sank in. What if the truth did emerge? What if his past caught up with him, dragging the happiness he fought so hard to build back into the ashes? The thought of losing Jack sent a chill slithering through him. I'm not running, Jake. His voice was steady, even despite the storm inside. I will face my past if it comes. But I refuse to stand here and let you control my narrative. A flicker of frustration flashed across Jake's face, but it wasn't the only thing there. There also seemed to be a realization. Something deeper than mere rivalry, a glimpse of something like acknowledgement, maybe even fear of losing control over Tommy's fate. Just think about it, Tommy, Jake continued, his tone shifting, softer but still dangerous. I could help you. I know things that could truly put you in your place or make you stronger. This is a rare opportunity. Opportunity? You think this is some kind of game? Jack shot back, incredulous. This isn't a choice. You're trying to strong-arm him. Yes. Jake's voice became quiet, serious. You've changed, Tommy, but so have I. I see a way for both of us to come out on top. You just have to play your cards right. Tommy lashed out, feeling his anger boiling over again. You don't get to redefine my life for me. I know the cost of playing your game, and I'm not interested. As the emotions hung thick in the air, the world around them faded temporarily. The laughter from families nearby felt miles away. Tommy's thoughts darted between uncertainty and courage. Could he truly face whatever was coming? Was he prepared to confront his past head-on, or would he forever be haunted? Seemingly sensing this inner turmoil, Jake took a deep breath, eyes hardening, decisively stepping back. Fair enough. Just remember, Tommy, every choice has consequences. And when the truth comes out, it won't just be the past that's at stake. With that, Jake turned and disappeared among the crowd. The silence felt heavy, as if the weight of their confrontation lingered like smoke in the air. Tommy stood there, heart pounding, a mixture of fear and adrenaline coursing through him. He looked to Jack, searching for reassurance. Jack reached for Tommy's hand, squeezing it tightly. Are you okay? Jack's concern folded over him like a warm blanket. But could he truly conquer the fears gnawing at him? The wind began to swirl softly, and in that moment, Tommy realized the real battle was just beginning. Let us go, he said, feeling a shift in the atmosphere. Whatever comes, I'll face it with you. Just as they turned to leave the park, Tommy noticed a figure lingering in the distance, someone watching them. That fleeting glimpse sent a chill down his spine. Did Jake have someone else on the inside? For the first time, uncertainty gnawed at Tommy, dragging him back toward the shadows of his past. What other secrets lay waiting to be uncovered? The holiday lights flickered like stars as Jack and Tommy walked through the park, the cool breeze brushing against their skin. Jack felt the familiar pulse of worry nagging at him. Moments ago, they had taken a brave stand against Tommy's past, but now the uncertainty loomed large. Tommy's eyes were filled with a mix of defiance and fear. His shoulders slightly slumped, but he held on to Jack's hand like a lifeline. Are you okay? Jack asked softly, squeezing Tommy's hand tighter. Tommy paused, taking a deep breath. I don't know. I feel everything all at once. The truth is scary, I know, Jack replied, his heart heavy with empathy. But you don't have to face it alone. I'm right here with you no matter what. Tommy met his gaze, his expression softening. The warmth radiating between them sparked a flicker of courage in Tommy's chest. I need you to know something, Jack. I can't pretend that I'm completely past who I was. Every day is a fight. Jack nodded, his eyes unwavering. And that's okay. We can fight together. As they walked on, the blissful sounds of the park faded into the background. Jack noticed the shadows of figures watching them from afar, waiting. What if Jake isn't done? Jack murmured, ever aware of the potential storm brewing. Then we face him, Tommy replied, determination blazing in his eyes. I can't lose you or this chance to become more than what I was. As they approached the park entrance, the crowd began to disperse. Families heading home, laughter fading, replaced by the crisp air of uncertainty. Just then, a voice rang out from behind them. Wait up, Tommy. They turned to see a familiar figure, Sarah, a friend from Tommy's past, rushing toward them, her face pale. Sarah? Tommy's voice came out more like a question than a greeting. I overheard, I just wanted to make sure you're okay. Her eyes darted back and forth, anxiety swimming in her expression. I saw Jake and I know he can be dangerous. He knows my past, Tommy admitted, glancing at Jack. But I can't let that control my present or future. I believe you, Sarah said, stepping closer, lowering her voice. But he's not the only one who might want to take advantage of who you used to be. People talk. Let them talk, Tommy said, newfound strength in his voice. Jack beamed with pride, his heart swelling as Tommy stood tall. I've fought too hard to let the opinions of others define me. I'm done hiding from who I am and who I want to be. Good, but just know I've got your back. Sarah smiled, her determination mirroring Tommy's. As they prepared to leave, an unexpected silence settled over the group. Jack could feel the impending weight of discovery settling in like a heavy fog. We need to keep moving forward, he said, his tone steady. Together. Tommy nodded, determination etched into his features. No one gets to dictate what I'll become. Hand in hand, the trio walked away from the park, knowing they were venturing into the unknown, but feeling the undeniable strength flecked with a newfound mutual understanding. Days passed as the holiday season continued, and the snow glistened on the ground, covering the old scars left behind. Together, they formed their own makeshift family, a bond enriched by shared understanding. They faced challenges confronting old friends, enduring whispered remarks in town square, but each trial only solidified their commitment to one another. Jack witnessed Tommy's transformation, from an unsure boy battling shadows to a young man confidently declaring his future. Each step they took dispersed the fog of uncertainty that had once clouded Tommy's heart. With Sarah's support, Tommy began speaking publicly about his past, shedding light on the struggles many faced. And every time he spoke, Jack's heart swelled with pride and hope. One evening, as the trio decorated a small tree in Jack's living room, Tommy paused, hanging a vibrant ornament. You know, I used to think I was alone in this, he began, his voice filled with wonder. But it turns out, vulnerability is where the real strength lies. Jack smiled, tears gathering at the edges of his eyes. You've shown remarkable growth, Tommy. I always believed in you. Even when you didn't believe in yourself. Tommy turned, a bright smile lighting his face. Thank you for standing by me. I'm so grateful for that. The warmth of togetherness enveloped them as laughter filled the air, a celebration of family and connection. The shadows of doubt began to recede, pushed away by the light of understanding and acceptance. Later that night, as they all settled on the couch, a sense of peace radiated throughout the room. Jack glanced out the window, watching the snow gently fall outside. He felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude, each flake a reminder of the life-changing journey they had embraced. Let us promise to keep fighting for each other, Tommy said suddenly, breaking the comfortable silence. I promise, always, Jack affirmed, heartbeat steady with uncomplicated love. He then felt a weight lift, allowing the joy of possibility to blossom within them. And as the laughter grew and the joy surrounded them, Jack knew that this was family, messy, beautiful, imperfect but undeniably theirs. Together, they had emerged from the shadows, stronger and connected in ways they could never have predicted. The journey that lay ahead was still uncharted, but the light illuminating their path shone brighter than ever before. The future was waiting and it was radiant. This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now and don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.